not do that. So
It says you're recording already, are you not?
I'm not, it's other
Oh, somebody
people.
else. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
that happened to us once and we thought we were recording and then we didn't get the webinar. So we're not going to do that today, but let's get rolling. Thanks you guys for taking time to join us. I'm Heather Roxburgh and I'm here with my partner, Kat Kobzeff. We are the owner founders of Be Epic Marketing, and we host these webinars every month to bring on awesome people, speakers, to the industry leaders to help you guys, train you guys, give you guys systems for your businesses, and hopefully teach you a few things that will help your business grow in the future. So today we have Mike Gandolfo. I think mostly everyone here knows who he is. So very dear friend of mine for a long time. Mike's been in real estate since 2006, so almost 20 years. What's your actual anniversary, Mike?
July 1st.
July 1st, 20,
Yeah. Then I
2006.
started taking 100 Days of Greatness, like probably like right after the 4th of July. So yeah.
Yeah. You and I have a very identical story to that. So I'm a 2006 too in January. 100 Days to Greatness built my business. But Mike, I consider a thought leader in our industry. He was in sales for a long time now, runs a team. Um, his wife is supporting his habits of training and leading and all those good things, right, Chrissy? But I'm happy to have Mike on here today to chat with us about how to, get our year set up and do some business planning. So, Mike,
Thank you,
all
Heather.
yours.
Really excited to be here, and I love the name of this is execute or be average, and really I just want to let everyone know like this is can be very conversational. So if you have a question, raise your hand. Don't feel like you're interrupting me or whatever else. Like let's make sure that we're giving you exactly what you need today and helping you the way that you need to be helped. Because if you took the time to actually be live on this call, then you should be rewarded to make sure that you're getting exactly everything you want. So let's get into what average is in the real estate business. And I think we've all seen the numbers out there. You know, Brian puts up on screen all the time that the median agent's gross commission is somewhere between $30,000 and $35,000, and then after they pay their broker and everything else and their business expenses, they're living below the poverty line. But the truth of the matter is that the median agent, and of course, I don't want to throw around the words average and median without clarification. Chrissy and I are very math-brained people, and so I know sometimes those terms confuse people. So median is if you took a whole group of people, the person who's exactly in the middle, which means you have 50% of the people below them and 50% of the people above them. The person who's exactly in the middle sold 2 homes last year. So that means 50% of the agents out there are selling 2 homes or less. But we know that that is a number that includes a lot of part-time agents. So, and we also know, I think most associations will be somewhere between 25 and 33% of agents that are members don't even sell a home at all. But when you even just try to distill out, now this was kind of a harder number to get to, but when you look at even the agents that are saying, I want to do this as a career, this is my full-time business, you would think that that would be completely different. But these guys are only making somewhere between 50 and 56,000 a year in GCI. These are the people who are going full-time hours, and then they're probably still making somewhere around 30 grand for working full-time hours. And that's not acceptable to me. I don't know how you guys feel about it. It's definitely not sustainable, and it definitely is broke. If you're working that amount of hours, and the reality of it is that agents get into this business because they're looking for a combination of one of four things. They want high earning potential, right? And I think if you all even resonate why you even still stay in this business, I think it's gonna be a combination of these things. It's earning potential, it's freedom, it's having a positive impact, and it's autonomy. Like they want to be able to do it their way. And when you are making the choice, and I want to be very clear that being average is a choice. When you're making the choice to be average, you fall into this just terrible trap where you're now have to be reactive. You have to be on demand, not in demand. You got to answer that phone call at 11 o'clock at night. You got to be transactional focused, and you just become all about at the control of everyone else. You're sacrificing the family time, the personal balance, your ability to serve the clients the way that you really wanted to when you got in this business. I believe that everyone gets in this business with fairly good intentions. And because of the lack of leadership and the poor training and whatever else, that agents fall into this trap of just reacting to everything around them because they're chasing commission checks and they're violating the boundaries that they would have put in for themselves. And because of that, none of the things that they got in the business to achieve are there, right? They're not making money. They're a slave to their business, so there's no freedom. There probably is no autonomy because maybe they're working for a team leader or whatever else, or they're definitely lose the autonomy because of what they're working with the client, and they're not able to serve them as deeply as they want to, so that even the impact part is there. Average is broke, average is burned out, and this is all about letting the business control you instead of you directing the business to the life that you want to create. And if you're here, you're not average. We know that. I mean, because I know most of you guys on this call. If you're here, you're not average at all. You're a leader in this industry. You might even lead a team, and you don't want to be average. And you don't want the people that you work with to be average, even if it is those admins on your team. You don't want them to be average. You want them to be exceptional. You know that average is expensive. Average doesn't produce. Average is a drain on your culture. Average agents don't serve clients the way that you want them to be served. Average agents don't give you the freedom, the impact, or the control that you came in this business to have. So here's the truth. When it comes down to it, average and excellence, average and excellence isn't about talent. It's not about how good you are at this business. It's all about execution. At the end of the day, consistency is the most cost-effective lead generation strategy there is. No matter what your lead generation strategy is, if you're consistent with it, you're going to get results. Average agents, again, too busy chasing leads. And so they're so busy chasing leads that they'll tell you when it comes to business planning, they don't have time to business plan. Where the number right now that is out there is only 3% of agents work from a written business plan. 3%. Meanwhile, we know that those 3% in the top 20% of agents that are closing 80% of the deals, and all the rest of the 80% out there, and in the 80-20 rule in real estate is very true, are chasing after those other 20% of the deals. They're too busy doing their 3.5 deals a year or 2 deals a year, or whatever it might be, to actually go down, put down a plan, versus the people who are actually taking the time to get away from the grind and look up, see where this business is taking them, try to direct it a little bit. They're selling on average 26 homes. And it's literally comes down to just that intentionality with your execution and how you do it. So if you're too busy to plan, you're not being productive. You're just exhausted. You're running faster on a treadmill that's going nowhere. Because the agents who are closing those 26 deals versus the 3.5, they're not working harder. They're just working smarter. And they are giving into the clarity of what they want, the systems that are going to help them get there, and then they understand the execution discipline. So that, again, busy is a trap and productive is a choice. And I hope that you guys are here to be productive today. And I really want to get into I'd love to get into some of the reasons why you think that maybe you're not as productive as you should be. We can talk about all those things again. This is not really a scripted thing. This is us kind of just having a conversation. So I'm not here to motivate you. I'm here. You're already motivated, or you wouldn't be here. So we just want to give you the clarity and the framework. So here's what we're going to do over the next 40 minutes or so. Is just kind of walk you through the way that I'm looking at business planning this time around. So I want to start with setting annual targets. And I'm being very careful not to say annual goals, okay? And you'll understand here a little bit why, but annual targets are important. And I believe that there are 6 ways that real estate agents give themselves a raise. At the end of the day, you want to know historically the number of buyers you work with, the number of sellers you work with. And by the way, that ratio is pretty important too. I think most productive agents are having a higher ratio of listings versus buyers. You want to know what your average sales price is. You want to know what your average commission rate is. We're not setting average commission rates. We're not saying what's normal. What is the rate you want to charge, and how do you actually validate that rate, or how do you communicate your value? Then we want to get into what is your your conversation to lead ratio, and then what is your lead to close ratio. If you understand those six numbers, you can then make tweaks to give yourself a raise that don't necessarily mean that you're working harder or working more. You're just working smarter. And I think it's really important for those targets to kind of start to lay down the foundation of this baseline that we're going to get to in step two. When you have those six numbers figured out, you're going to come down and you're going to be able to realize two important. You're really going to have one of them probably resonate with you more than others. You're going to have an income goal that's going to resonate with you, or you're going to have a number of closings you want to have that's going to resonate with you. And if you know one, you can figure out the other, right? And because you want to know what both those numbers are for your annual targets, and you want to take that and you want to get it all the way down. This was, to me, a fundamental shift that we made in our brokerage last year. I have a brokerage, and Heather said I run a team. Chrissy runs the Gandolfo team, which is really just her and my daughter. I got a brokerage. We have agents in Louisville, Kentucky, and we have an office in Danville, Kentucky. We serve like 90% of the state's population. So if you have someone come to Kentucky, we can take care of them, generally speaking. But when we made the focus this year, not about anything else except getting those two numbers, the income and the transaction, and distilling it down to what is your referral number? What is your lead number? How many we quantify winning the week by one number and one number only. Did you get the number of leads that you needed to get this week? Nothing else matters in our world. It doesn't, because now you're getting creative on how it's like, hey, I got to get, my number was 2 this week. I've got to get 2 leads. I got to get 2 referrals. And we literally have an agent who just is about to make the jump. We don't have many part-timers, but if you have a solid plan on how to go from part-time to full-time, we'll take you in. And she's getting ready to make that jump. She's giving up her full-time job, and she knows her referral number, and she lives that referral number every week. And if it's Thursday and she doesn't have her referral number, she will stay and she will make phone calls until she hits her referral number. Because at the end of the day, we know if we generate the referrals, then we can kind of map out the other steps to know where we need to improve to get the transaction number that we want. I'm using the word referrals and leads interchangeably, obviously, because for me, that's the way that we work. We work by referral. I'm a little bit too much of a working by referral snob. But I will actually say that I think right now the biggest mistake I probably made in real estate was being too much of a working by referral snob. And and at the end of the day, I almost wish I would have learned this framework before and really focused on this 3-pillar lead generation system. And I always think that the relational pillar is always going to be your primary focus. It's going to be the number one thing. It's going to be highly systemized. And for the most part, I'd be surprised if there's people on this call that that are not world class in working by referral and working that relationship here. The second pillar, though, I think is so important, and it's something that we probably need to have a better focus on, is that attract pillar, right? Because the attract pillar is the stuff we put out there on social media, on YouTube, the videos, our websites, how we position ourselves on profiles that are on the different, Zillows and Realtor.coms and whatever else. It's all the stuff out there that we have living out in the internet digital ecosystem. But it serves, besides being a potential lead generation tool for us, we also know that it's extremely important to validate anytime someone refers us to someone else, right? So if Wendy gets referred to someone, the first thing they're going to do is they're going to go search Wendy more and figure out, hey, can I validate that Wendy is everything that these people are telling me that Wendy is, right? We already know that they're getting the vote for Wendy. Someone's voted for Wendy and said, Wendy's the person you want to talk to, but they want to make sure that it's as authentic as they think. And it's funny because we're having this AI conversation kind of jokingly before we got into the meat of our conversation. And we're having this conversation with our daughter last night. Like the generations younger than us are so skeptical about so many things, and AI is one of them. They're really looking for authenticity, right? They want to know that you are who they say they are. The cool part about Be Epic is that it's so important to for the relational pillar and making sure that you're having the touches with your database in a way that you don't even have to think about it, right? If you're a ninja person, they call that auto flow. All those things are set, and all you got to do is send Kat the pictures, and they make them look all pretty and whatever else, and they get the postcards out, and you don't even have to think about the social posts. All that stuff is happening, so they're really complementing what needs to happen in those two things. Where it's like, okay, I need this core component of the relational pillar, and then I need this core component of the attract pillar, and they're bridging that gap. And it's pretty amazing what they're doing here. And then finally, I do think that if you can come up with a really good strategy for one of the more traditional lead generation tactics, that you should embrace that. But it's only if you can highly systemize it and it doesn't suck up too much of your time. So like right now, we've been talking to our agents about, and I know I saw Julie Morris's note taker on here, and of course she's the master at the open house. But ever since we've had the changes that happened August 17th, open houses became so much more valuable than they ever were before, because people can go through an open house and don't have to sign a buyer agency agreement. We know that those people basically in there are free agents for the most part. So it gives you a really good opportunity, because the other interesting thing that's happening in real estate right now, where it used to be the people who are chasing those transactions, those average agents who are really going over and churning and burning through leads, like they would always talk about speed to lead, speed to lead, speed to lead. Well, now it's all about who can have the first real conversation with the lead. If you can have the first meaningful conversation with the lead, then that's who's going to get that business. So the open house strategy there is a really good one. The other thing that we're seeing a lot of success with our agents is really the niche marketing. So we have whether that's working with elder care services, or whether that's working with attorneys and going through divorce attorneys or probate or whatever else, whatever niche you want to go to. We're actually making a concentrated effort as our brokerage to get out and take a look at some of the manufacturing companies in our area, because we have a lot of manufacturing. And there's a book by Matthew Kelly called The Dream Manager, where the premise of the book is that this guy comes in to take over a waste management company, and he gets the employees there, they're dealing with garbage, to start focusing on their goals and dreams, and what that did to the productivity of that plant. We think the same thing can happen with our manufacturing plants. If we can show the blue collar worker the genuine path to home ownership, and that they can do this, we believe that they're going to be better employees for their employer. And so we're selling that, and then hopefully going to be able to turn that into other opportunities in the future too. So I do think that there's a great way to balance where working by referral takes up the large majority of your time and energy and your focus, and you can sprinkle in just some intentional action, work with a great company like Be Epic to make sure that you're bringing some pizzazz to your relational pillar, and you're also getting some things done for your attract pillar, and that you are really honing in on that that systemized, easy to execute hunt strategy for you to go out there and get some deals maybe that were kind of on the side of the road that you could easily pick up. So that's where we were going with a lot of this stuff. So now we got our numbers, we know what our targets are. The next thing I want to do is I want to define my personal business standard. And the personal business standard has got a couple different components to it. First, the personal business standard is all about what is your business identity. And if you're not a broker, like, I'm a broker, so I set the business identity for the brokerage, but I'm looking for agents who align with this business identity. If you're an agent, you want to have a broker that you align with on this personal business identity. When it comes to your mission, your vision, your values, your strategy. I was talking to a young man yesterday, and the one of the reasons when I see that number of 87% of agents don't make it past the first 5 years, one of the things that really frustrates me is that we don't do a great job of taking a brand new agent and really understanding how they're wired and what's the environment they need to be in to be successful. We just kind of throw them out to the wolves. We see who can swim, and whoever swims, like, well, you're one of the 13% that makes it. And some of it's luck. Some of them just happen to get into the right situation. And I know that if we did a better job with those newer agents of positioning them and said, hey, you know what, you're probably better off working internet leads. That's how you're wired. This person's, and all the systems work. I had to really come around to that. Like, at the end of the day, no matter what your lead generation strategy is, they're going to work, but they really need to complement who you are as a person. And then you can build out the tools and the environment around who you need to be. So that's why that personal business identity is really important, so that you can then evaluate the environment that you're in and does it serve you? Because when you're in that right environment, you're going to see just a tremendous amount of growth, because you're going to feel like you're being incubated almost, right? The next part of the personal business strategy or standards is your business boundaries. Like, what are the boundaries you're putting around your business? And this goes from everything to, hey, these are my hours of operation. And I'll go back to that here in a second, but hours of operation, how I show up, what's my policy on being late? When do I return messages and emails? What's my voicemail sound like? How do I put all these boundaries around my business so I can direct it to the place I want to go and still stay true to the life I want to create? And I really, especially dealing with new agents, I used to really harp on the fact of saying, you need to make sure that you have a tools downtime, because you're going to start to violate that. And then once that spins out of control, it's really hard to kind of get back under control. And now when I'm training newer agents, it's like, hey, you're defining your work hours. And when you're working, you need to be working and not doing the laundry and not doing this other stuff. Now, if you want to schedule some of that stuff in your workday, that's the beauty of what we do. But if it's just that you're sitting there and you don't have any clients to work with, and you just like, well, I'll go do the dishes, that's a different problem. And really, you need to start thinking about what your workday actually looks like, which comes down to the next component of the personal business standard, and that is identifying your non-negotiable activities. And this is where we really kind of come down and understand. And the best way for you to look at this is, if you are hiring somebody to take your spot right now in whatever role you have, what are the things, what are the 5 activities that you would judge their performance on, that you would determine whether or not they were a good hire or a bad hire? And so you're writing this job description basically to replace you. And then you need to look at that job description and say, would I fire me, or am I the employee of the month? And I think a lot of us would look at that thing, and I know there's been lots of times in my world where Chrissy wanted to fire me. So and I know that there's times when I would probably want to fire myself. But having that idea, because you are paying yourself a large paycheck to do your job, and are you understanding what that job really is and what you need to do? Now, I want to throw a word out here right now. These are the tasks that have to do with your job. And what the reason why I'm being very specific about using the word task is because later on, when we talk about prioritizing your day, you're going to understand where that word task really falls into your daily priorities. So what are those tasks that define whether or not you're doing your job at the level that you want to do your job? And then the last part of the personal business standard is really doing what I call a systems check. Are you going through your systems and evaluating, whether or not they serve you? Because out of all the systems, except for one system in our real estate business, they're all going to adapt based on your level of production. Systems are meant to be broken, they're meant to be strained, and they're meant to be adjusted. So when we look at that, just I'm going to read some off right now, and maybe you can, if you're taking notes, you can do a plus because your system is really, really strong there. You can do a check mark because it's adequate, or you could do a minus sign where it needs work, or you just be like, it's a big fat 0. I don't even have that system at all. What is your system for lead generation and your focus on it right now? You know, are you a Be Epic client and you got some things really working for you, even if you didn't have the time to write the notes or your day got away from you, you still got a system that's working for you in the lead generation side? What is your system for personal development? You know, we know that Jim Rohn talks about that we're never going to out earn our level of self-esteem or our level of self-growth. So what is your system for self-development? Is that in your budget? Are you actually being intentional about making sure that you're getting fed things and the right things at the certain times? So what is your system for personal development? What is your system for working with a buyer or a seller? And those are two different systems, obviously. And that might include, I mean, there's no other systems I can think about that evolve more than those two, because if as you get busier, you might have team members that help you with buyers and sellers. But as we talk about that, I want to really make sure I focus on one thing really important to me, because I want to tell you guys what I think the job description of a real estate agent is, and and this brings me clarity when I think about these two systems in particular. The real estate agent's job description is: we serve as our client's trusted consultant, advocate, negotiator, guiding them with confidence and care through one of their most important financial and personal decisions. That's what we do. That's what we do as a real estate agent. We're their consultant, their advocate, and we are their negotiator. And when I think about that, or my system's set up to really serve that purpose.
Mike,
Yep.
can you repeat that?
Yes, ma'am. Yes. Is that Susan? Yes,
Yes,
Susan.
it is.
We serve as our client's trusted consultant, advocate, negotiator, guiding them with confidence and care through one of the most important financial and personal decisions that they make.
Thank you.
You know, if you've heard me speak before, you know I'm really big on making sure that we recognize that moving is one of the most stressful things that someone ever does. It's always in the top 10 list of the most stressful things that that happens in someone's life. The other 9 things are all things that trigger a move. So, and then then they're probably working with their jackwad cousin and whatever else. And so they're working with professionals that make it more stressful than it needs to be. And so we're dealing with people who are making a huge financial decision while basically on tilt, because they've got 2 major stressors going on in their life. And we've actually, in our office, we've kind of developed this thing called Requity, which is that onboarding thing that we have our clients take when we first start working with them, just so we can identify what their stress response is, and then how we actually overcome that stress response when it starts to show itself. Do you have a system for the administrative side of your business, or is that always eating at you? Is there a stack on your desk of papers that you got to get to, and sometimes you give in and you start going through that stack of papers and you don't do your lead generation? Do you have a financial system, whether that's a normal budget or you're working profit first? Do you have a system of how you're embracing technology and how you're growing with the use of technology? And then do you have a system when it comes to human resources? Those to me are the key systems when it comes to a really solid real estate business. Did I miss anything? Can anyone think of anything that I might have missed? I mean, I've got one more system we're going to talk about. Anybody? Okay. I don't know if anybody put anything in the chat or not. I can't.
Wait, what about a system for personal care?
Well, I think that's in the development, but I think that's important too, for sure. A personal care one is definitely important. I would have put that in with my development one, but maybe that's just me being a little too pragmatic. I think that's fair.
Okay.
So there's one system that I did not touch on, and this is the one system that doesn't change. And this is your system on how you actually execute. So we set these annual business plans, and lots of times they just go and they sit on the coffee table, or they sit on your shelf, they collect dust, and they never get looked at again. And to be honest with you, like, annual planning is at its core just very, very inefficient and not effective at all, especially given how many times we need to adjust our strategies given what's going on in our market. You know, I routinely remember, knowing that in 2020, once we had a shift that happened. I don't know if you guys remember, there was this COVID thing, and everyone's probably tired of hearing about it. But we didn't know if we were going to be essential, non-essential, and we had to shift our strategies. We thought we weren't going to be busy, and then we were overly busy, and all these other things in the middle. And we had to shift our strategies on the fly. Yeah, I go back to thinking of the last time that Chrissy and I went to Italy in 2022. We left. I think we flew out, and the interest rates were at 3.5, and when we landed, the interest rates were above 5. And so everything shifted on that one too. And the great thing that where you really understand is like you got these business targets for the year, but when you learn to execute in short cycles, whether that's 12 weeks like they teach in the 12-week year, or whether you're more on an 8-week cycle, whatever it might be, when you learn to execute in short cycles, anything between 4 and 12 weeks, you're able to then make the adjustments that you need to make to keep you on track and keep you towards the path of what you set out to accomplish. And I go back and I look at that personal business standard as being the baseline foundation of what needs to get done in my job, no matter what. Because one of the things when I start talking about the 12-week year, or I start talking about short cycle execution, people will come up and say, well, I end up just writing the same tactics all the time. I end up having the same goals all the time. And I think there's a fundamental shift in what I'm trying to say right here, and how this is really important, is that those fundamentals don't change. Your lead generation activities don't change. They have got to be executed at all times. But what does change is the focus on how you direct those lead generation activities, or where you want to see some sort of strategic growth. So when you're going through a short cycle of execution, you maintain that personal business standard throughout the whole thing. But now you're saying, okay, I've got an intentional focus, and that intentional focus is going to be driven by a need to either solve an immediate pain point, right? Maybe there's got to be some immediate pain point that I've just got to, that demands my attention for me to get my business back on track. There's maybe you're trying to optimize the resources that you already have, and you don't want to bring on anything else, but you want to just use the tools and the people that you have at a more efficiently. Or the third thing that can happen in a short cycle execution period is that you are intentionally trying to grow your capacity. So knowing that those are the three things that you're going over, and knowing that you're going to have this personal business standard, you could go into the first 12-week execution cycle of the year. Notice I do not say quarter. The first execution cycle of the year, and say, okay, I know that by March 31st, 70% of my closings are already going to be in my pipeline. And I need to go out there, and I just got to focus on just like, the focus for me is just stacking that pipeline as full as I possibly can get it. And then so all those calls, notes, and pop-bys, all those activities that you're doing are centered around how do I then achieve that primary focus. The goal, the 12-week, the short cycle goal, is always going to help you define the tactics that are due in that 12-week period. And so now we're getting to this idea of like, okay, we have tasks, which are the personal business standard. I've got tactics that are things I determine that are going to help me achieve this goal. And I've got my values to help me make decisions, right? Because that was part of the personal business standard. And I'm now looking at it, and that's like, okay, and I'm setting appointments, and appointments, if I'm setting the right appointments, if I'm saying yes to the right things, appointments are helping me, fund my dream. I'm taking appointments. Hopefully they're appointments that are going to generate business, or maybe they're, appointments that you're putting out there to help you recharge yourself, which is fine too, but you got to make sure that you're making the appointments that are going to fund your business. Now I know the 3 top priority things that I have in my day. The number one thing that has to get done in my day, and they should be scheduled, are the tactics that I determine are key to making sure that I achieve the goals that I have. The number 2 most important thing in my day are the tasks that I said, these are my job. This is what my job entails. I've got to get these tasks done. This is my highest dollar per hour activities that I do on a regular basis. The third most important priority in your day are the appointments that you set. And I put it third, and people are like, well, don't you have to work around the appointments? And I strongly believe that we've been at our best when we have the appointments already mapped out in our calendar and we are filling appointments the same way a physician would. And we are making sure that we're prioritizing all of the tactics and the tasks that we got to get done. And we have time in our calendar for the tactics and the tasks. And then we're not asking a client, okay, when do you want to go see that house? Or when can I come over for the listing presentation? You're saying, is an afternoon or an evening better for you? You want to see an evening? Great. I have my next evening appointment is at 6:30 on Tuesday. Does that work for you? And you're taking control. That's part of the business boundaries of what you're putting in place. And this is so fundamental because if all the average agents out there are chasing and they're running around crazy and they're going to take whatever and they're going to violate their systems and they're going to move something so that they can go on that listing appointment. But you're like, I'm not on demand, I'm in demand. And this is where you're setting your value right then and there to the person that's on the other line. Like, if you want to work, the reasons why, I mean, I love it when we get the commission question. I really do, because they're asking us just to articulate our value. And when we do that, I honestly say, hey, there's going to be lots of people that are going to do this cheaper than what I'm going to do it for. But the only reason they do that is because they can't compete with me at what I charge. And if they could compete with me at what I charge, they would charge that. And so when you're looking at all of these data and statistics and whether or not you're going to save a percent here or save a percent there, just know that you might be taking 5% less for your house because of that percent. Or you're going to get someone who's just going to be negotiating to get a deal closed and is not going to be looking out for your best interests. It could cost you a whole lot more money than that percent. Excuse me. So that's where appointments come in third to me on the prioritization list when you look at how you're prioritizing your day. And then finally are those to-do lists. So the cool thing to me is, like, tasks and tactics are things that I determine are good for my business. Appointments are things that I determine and I say yes to. To-dos are typically something that someone else puts on your desk that it might be urgent to them or they say needs to be done, but it's probably not something that's going to be in your wheelhouse. And some of it has to be done right away, but having that discernment to be able to look when you have very specific blocks in your week to handle your to-do list, and you can go through and say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to delegate this, I'm going to defer this, I'm going to deflect this, and I'm going to delete this one. And so that you're just getting through those to-dos as quickly as possible. Has anybody got any questions or comments yet or anything like that? Everybody's good? I just started rolling. So
I think we had one question from Melissa.
Okay. Yeah, Melissa.
You can hear me, yes?
Yeah. How are you?
I am an agent less than 2 months.
Oh, wow. Congratulations.
I just started all of this, so I am following along and kind of looking for some of the things that you're talking about, like lead generation. So what and how would I incorporate that being so new? Generation strategy, have no idea how to even start any of that.
Well, so tell me a little bit about right now, and I'll ask Heather and Kat to unmute themselves too. Tell me a little bit about what's your situation right now. Are you a solo agent right now?
No, actually, I am affiliated with Hometown Realty, where I am in Clayton, and I finished 301 for post licensing. I'm in 302. I have a mentor. We're kind of going through what we do every day. I made a daily plan. I did the personal development. I did all of that. I've shown a couple houses, but now I'm at the point where, okay, that's great. Now what do I do? And how do I get someone to buy a home?
Yeah. And I'm going to say, I still feel like it always comes down to the quality of your lead. And so that's just do you have someone who's handing you leads right now? Or are you responsible for generating your own leads?
I have no idea how to do any of that, and no one
No one's
is
handing you
handing me
leads.
any leads.
So, and by the way, that's good.
Okay.
Okay. So I just want to put you at ease because you hear that and you're like, oh, maybe I should be somewhere where someone's handing me leads. But honestly, like the person who controls the lead is the person who controls the business. And you have you been in your area for a long time? Are you new to the area?
I've been here 25 years and I have almost maybe 175 people in, that I know because I ran a business here for the last 20 years. So I know quite a few people, but that doesn't mean they all want to buy homes.
Well, but the problem, here's the real reality of it is, and this is where the thinking of the agent gets you in trouble. I don't care if any of those 175 people buy a home. Where you got to go is to the next level. I need them to know that I am a person of good character. I'm a person who's competent. I'm a person who can that so that they can then recognize when one of the people, because they're going to all know somewhere between 5 and 7 people who are going to move this year, and can they recognize that's a good person to connect me with. So you're at a time in the real estate business right now where there is a war going on, okay? And the war going on is with all of these technology systems trying to make it easier and to trying to get you on their platform and whatever else. And they're sacrificing the trust, right? You could call someone right now and you could be talking to someone's AI bot that sounds just like them. And I talked about it a little bit before, people really want that authentic connection. They want to know that when they're making the biggest decision of their life, that they are dealing with someone that they can trust. It's the one reason when I got into the real estate business, we were still doing, and I would love to know if Heather was the same. We were still, doing the triplicates where you had to press, the carbon copies, and the internet was going to end the business and it was going to be all over and whatever else. And you know what the funny thing is Zillow was coming on to the scene and all that stuff at that time. What percentage of agents do you think back in 2006 found their agent online? Like that's how they met their agent. And that's where
Probably
Low,
not many.
low.
it was low. It was like 9 or 10%.
Yeah.
And I think that when you look at the numbers that were for 2024, what do you think the number was?
Very high.
No, if I remember right, I think it's like 11 or 12%.
Oh, okay. It's the same.
And at the end of the day, people still are valuing the relationship and the referral. So if you have 175 people that know, like, and trust you in your database, Heather will tell you, you've got a $100,000 business.
I will say that I was not from Salt Lake when I started real estate. I was only here just maybe 8 years. And I didn't have any friends. I had little kids and I worked in a police department with 50 officers. And I got my first 30 deals out of those 50 people because they knew me, they liked me, and they trusted me. And I was relentless in telling them what I did and that I was here to help for anyone that they knew buying or selling. And it was just like the referrals flowed in. And I closed 30 deals my first 12 months off of 50 people. So just like Mike is saying, you just got to mine your database. I would also tell you, if you haven't taken 100 Days to Greatness, I think that is one of the best training programs out there to this day. I will stand by that forever. Like, it's a simple system, but the system works. And have you taken it? It sounds like maybe you have.
No, I'm in process. I'm gonna be
Yes.
starting that this week.
I mean, if you do everything you're told, you could put your business plan together with that 100 Days to Greatness and
100%.
knock it out of the park. So that's what I would tell you to do, and just get out there in front of your people that like you, trust you, love you, and you will start seeing, referrals coming in from them.
And it's really about, as you definitely got to let them know what you do, but
Yes.
it's so tactful how you have to do it, right? So you're calling people in that list of 175 and you're making genuine connections. And I'm just going to tell you what worked for me, because I kind of floundered through the first couple of years. I wasn't the overnight success that Heather was. But for me, it was, we're in the middle of the pandemic. I'm sorry, we were in the middle of the Great Recession.
Mm-hmm.
And other people should comment on this, and we got some pros in here, so let's hear some of these comments, the advice that you would give Melissa. We were in the middle of the Great Recession, and I was at a brokerage where we had to charge a certain commission rate, And it's a large brokerage, and everyone around me who's been in the business forever was competing at the same rate, minus all the agents who were working for other brokerages were cutting their fees. It's really not much different than in a way it was now, than the way it is now in a lot of ways. But because my brokerage wouldn't let me cut my fees, I had to go to work on really understanding and articulating my value. I read a book called The Go Giver, and it changed my life. So you read The Go Giver, it's going to take you a day. I mean, it's like 120 pages. It's real short, and it's a really good Audible listen too if you want to do that. I read The Go Giver, and it taught me the 5 stratospheric laws of success, and it really comes down to those 5 things. And can you always articulate your value so you're giving more in value than you take in payment, right? I mean, we're doing that right here at Be Epic. Be Epic gives you so much more in value than they take in payment. It's crazy. Like they're basically replacing a part-time employee for everybody that they work with. So do you understand the law of compensation? I'm doing all these off the top of my head, so this is rough. The law of influence, and the law of influence now is so important because we talked about people have to know, like, and trust you. Well, with social media, it's easy to know and like someone social media wise, but just because you're an influencer online doesn't make you a person of influence. And the person who is a true real estate expert who is really have this just solid database is a person of influence, is a person that can really put the interests of the other people that they work with first, because they know if they help those people get what they want, they're going to get what they want. Are you doing it with authenticity, the law of authenticity? And then finally, are you open to receiving and enjoying that law of receptivity? And then I went to work and I said, hey, I need to trigger my workday. And every 4 days a week, I started my day off at 8 a.m. meeting someone for coffee because it was cheap. I could buy them coffee, and it was generally going to be 30 to 40 minutes. And it was a high level interaction. It then triggered me to do the rest of my activities and really go. But Kat, kind of talk a little bit about what you guys do and how it could help someone like Melissa.
Yeah, I mean, I think that like we've talked on this call about getting your systems in order, and it can feel very overwhelming. Like even just hearing you list off all of the systems you have to have in check, I'm like, do I have all those things in check? And so I think that we created Be Epic as a solution to kind of put a plus in one of those boxes. I think that as a business owner, I know one of the greatest things that I've learned, and Heather's helped teach me, is that you have to get to a place where you can delegate in order to grow. I think it's the agents that they become their own bottleneck, and they really try to own all of the tasks. And then what happens is you end up doing nothing really that well, and you end up focusing on the wrong things, not the tactics that are going to really propel you forward. And so why we created Be Epic was really to be that engine in the background, complementing what you do, and really, like you said, bridging that gap between the relationships you're building and then that attract pillar, and making sure that you're staying in touch with people on the back end, so that you can go out and have those face-to-face conversations, and you can be a person of influence. And then you know that those relationships that you're adding into your database, we are going to nurture those for you. So that's really what our focus is to not make you an influencer, but to really on the back end make sure that no one's falling through the cracks, that your people are being carried on, they're getting things of value every single month, they don't forget about you. Because I think in this sort of attention economy that we're in, like you have to be creating content, you have to be reaching out to people on multiple platforms, otherwise you just disappear within the noise. And so we're trying to help you really have that consistency. And it's just, for most agents, it's just that's not something they have time to do, and it's not in their wheelhouse, it's not one of their strengths. And so we have a team of creatives, marketers, where our strength is to be that sort of that person for you, and to hopefully do it at a price that I think is affordable.
Yeah, because you're gonna have to spend money on your business, man. I think at the end of the day, it's just the reality of it. Like you got to put money into it to get money out of it. And one of the other favorite stories I have for you, Melissa, and then we'll kind of get on to what our next little piece is before we wrap up, is Zig Ziglar used to tell this story about these 2 guys driving through Alabama, and they're really hot, and they come across this old-fashioned water pump, and they get out, and we have an old-fashioned water pump in our office for this very reason. Because when you're a brand new agent, you're grabbing that pump handle. Hopefully, you know what I'm talking about.
I
You
do.
might not be old enough. Okay. And you're pumping that handle, and there's nothing coming out. But what happens generally in real estate is new agents don't commit to a system of lead generation. And so they end up letting go of a pump and picking up another pump handle. And they never pump any of the pump handles long enough to get a result. And then the trick though is if you keep pumping that pump handle until you get a result, and you've got a system that you're consistent and you're working, eventually that water is going to flow. And then the trick becomes, how do you keep pumping? Because most agents take their hand off the pump, then to go grab a bucket and try to collect all the water, and then it all goes back down. And you just got to keep pumping. And if there's water that flows out that you miss, so be it. You're getting all the water though that you really need. And then you start putting systems in place to catch more and more and more of that water. And that's kind of what I teach at the level of what we're doing. And what I'm offering is something called execution excellence, where I'm actually taking people through these execution cycles. And so the way what that looks like is in December, we're going to have a couple sessions where we really kind of start to hone in on those things that we talked about. We're going to help you define that ideal life that you really want to create, right? We're going to help you identify are those the personal business standard for all the way from what should be your values and what's important to you. The stuff that took me years to really kind of get down to, and I understand how important they are now, all the way down to what are those daily activities you got to do. And then we're going to help you write a goal like you've never written a goal before and plan the tactics out to achieve that goal. And then I'm going to be with you the entire way through that 12 weeks, helping you achieve what you want to achieve. And the cool thing that we're doing, and what we wanted to announce here is, Kat, I'll let you kind of get back on here, but we're doing if you're not a Be Epic subscriber, we're going to do a special where you can get Be Epic and the Execution Excellence program for a 12-week period. So, Kat?
Yeah, so basically we thought it would be fun to partner because what he does pairs really well with what we're doing, which is, he's going to help you kind of figure out define your personal business standard like we talked about, and then the tactics for the 12-week and beyond, but just to hit those targets. And the reason why we put this together is because we were having a conversation like, what you do in the first 12 weeks of the year can really have the power to create this massive amount of momentum that you can ride and carry throughout the rest of the year. And so that's what we want to help you guys do. And you need a system for marketing to help you achieve those goals. And so what he does and what we do kind of pairs well together. So yeah, we have this, can I share my screen? I don't know
You should be able to, hopefully.
Let's see.
You have the graphic.
Oh, yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, let's see if I can pull it up. Don't judge my desktop. So we're calling it Execution Excellent. It's a sales and marketing boot camp. And essentially it's, 12 weeks. So it starts, give me the dates on when you're starting your part, Mark.
I'm starting, did you just call me Mark? Is that what you just did?
Yeah, I didn't mean
Come
to,
on,
sorry.
Kat.
I know you are.
January 5th is when we'll have sessions before that, but the 12-week cycle begins on January 5th. It'll take you all the way to the end of March, basically.
Okay, yeah, so I don't know, we gotta mute someone. So if you are not a Be Epic member, if you are a Be Epic member, we have a separate offer that we're going to be sending you that's just to focus on this 12-week session with Mike. But if you are if you're not a Be Epic member, we're pairing basically what you're offering with what we're offering, which kind of the breakdown looks like this. You're going to get this 12-week execution plan. You're going to get your weekly scorecard so that you can really dig into your business and understand like what key metrics are driving success and how you need to. So it's really just kind of getting away from that global view and breaking it down into the day-to-day execution that needs to happen. Also, one of the biggest things is accountability. So having a group and a person that you can lean into to help you actually get this done. I know that for myself, if I don't have that accountability, it's easy to just push things off. And so I think you're doing weekly meetings, right? With this group. Okay.
Yeah, but to be fair, I'm probably a lot more accessible than that. So, and as we talk about this, I want people to know that I normally charge the group I just finished up with. Actually, I normally charge $3,500 for this. So the Be Epic add-on is really just another 1,000. And what is your all's normal cost?
So our cost is $7.99 a month typically.
So
yeah.
you're getting almost $6,000 worth of value for $4,500. And then and the last people I worked with, the person 10 extra pipeline in the 12 weeks. And that's what we're trying to get. That's what we're trying to have accomplished. So she went from a tough spot to where she is like, we just had lunch actually in Tennessee, and she's doing awesome. And I think that the thing is like when you do this first execution cycle right, you're going to learn how to carry this forward. I'm not the person that you're supposed to be. You're supposed to keep your Be Epic subscription going because it's going to be a key part of your marketing. Mine is if you do it right, you do it once, you learn the systems, and you're able to take it and you're able to grow and grow and grow, and it becomes part of the ecosystem of who you are as a business owner. And it really will change the entire way that you execute and move forward. So, you know, it sounds like it's a lot of money, but at the end of the day, if you're getting through where it's, you know, producing 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 transactions, which I think is very, very plausible, it's a drop in the bucket.
Right. Okay. So that's kind of what
Sorry,
we're
Kat.
offering on. No, that's fine. I wanted you to speak to what you're providing. And then on our end, we have a marketing system. I know some of you on here are current clients, some of you are past clients. We have made some changes if you are a past client, but we've really shifted towards providing you with what we believe is like a complete marketing suite. And we also assign a marketing assistant to you, a marketing account person who is going to implement all of this for you. So, you know, just a quick rundown of what we offer is, you know, the 12-week marketing calendar. So this will be essentially for January, February, March, but we want you to continue because we know that with marketing, it takes more than just a couple months to really see and experience success. But we're hoping this will lay the groundwork and help you feel like, you know, one of the best testimonials that we get is just like, oh, you know, my marketing goes out and I can go off and do my business, and, you know, we get responses, leads, things like that, but I don't have to like be the one who's every day sitting down deciding what social media posts I'm going to share. So we have you know, talented, trained marketing assistants who are going to implement this for you. They're going to help you edit and film video and get that posted on your social media every month. We have really creative, fun postcards that we design. We send out on your behalf to your database each month. We also do a monthly blog post, and then we post typically about 20 different social media posts on your account each month. And then also we send 2 monthly newsletters, one that's an agent to agent newsletter, which is a new add-on for 2026. And that's really geared towards helping you nurture your agent database. And then we also have a newsletter for your clients that's relevant and timely and fun and creative. So our goal is, again, to just be that engine in the background that's complementing all of those relationships that you're out there making. So, you know, I think the agent, their job is to build their database, to go out and make those connections. And then our job is to nurture those on the back end. And that is a task that you can 100% automate and know that it's being taken care of and taken care of well. So I don't know, Heather, do you want to speak to that?
Kat, the one thing that you all do though, on top of that though, is that you are able to automate it still with a personal touch.
Yeah, so we do, and that is all. So we do require some work from you guys in the sense that, like, we're going to ask you for a picture, we're going to ask you for a video. So you do have to be willing to work with our assistants, and we will hound you for that stuff. But yeah, our goal is to try to personalize it as much as possible. And the agents who do personalize it and do actually take our direction and provide us with those pictures and videos, they're the ones that are thriving and actually seeing, you know, great success from the platform. Do you have anything to add, Heather?
Got to put a face to your business as far as that goes.
Yeah.
I guess what I would add is, I mean, you know, I think I always say that we're in the business of marketing, and the sales are the byproduct of the marketing that we do. So if you don't have consistent marketing going out, you said something that I had to write down wherever I wrote it down, the attention economy, which is so true. If you're not staying in front of your clients, they're forgetting you, and they just are. Like, as much as you don't think that they will, they will. So I think the marketing piece is huge. And I will speak to Mike Gandolfo. I've worked with him for many, many years. He's done annual planning with my team. I've done his 12-week year program, and he's phenomenal at helping you set goals and really helping you stay accountable to the goals, and execute on those goals in all of your circles, whatever your goals look like. His program is excellent. And if you follow it and you understand it and you learn it, you will be able to continue on as long as you do it. So that's, I think, the beauty of what Mike does. And then the beauty of what we do at Be Epic is take that piece off your plate so that you can do what you do best. And like Kat said, delegate. One thing I feel like I'm really, really good at 99% of the time is delegating. If it's a task I shouldn't be doing, I don't do it. I can't use Canva. We all know this. Like I wouldn't know what to do if I got like a gun to my head. I would die. But I don't need to know how to use Canva. That's the nice part about what we do for you guys at Be Epic. And the personal touch is so huge. You just need to build your business out and your marketing out so people can't forget you. And that's kind of what we do at Be Epic. So.
And you got to
And
go.
I want to, yeah, I just want to add one thing too before we go. But I feel like I get objections from a lot of agents when we talk about Be Epic in the sense where they're like, well, do you do this and do you do that? And I want to be posting reels every single day. And I want to be like an influencer on social media. And will you help me do that? And I feel like this whole marketing conversation can spin so far out of control and get so detached from what your job and your goals really should be. And so, you know, I'd invite you to have a conversation with us if you are having that kind of thought in your head, because for me, where I see, you know, agents go wrong with a lot of their marketing is they're so bombarded with information and options that they don't end up ever taking any action. And what our goal is, you know, for you guys is to get with us to get that consistency. I mean, we talked about the importance of consistency at the beginning of this call, and then to really lay that solid marketing foundation. And you can always add onto it as you go. But if you're not doing the basics, if you don't have a system and structure, you know, I get emails all the time from agents where I'm like, oh, they sent me an email, but I haven't heard from them in 12 months. Like, that's what we want to get you out of, and we want to get you into this, you know, really nice, consistent flow with your marketing. And then, you know, you can always scale and improve from there. But I would invite you to like consider this as an option where, you know, we really will take that on for you and make sure that no matter what, every single month, you're getting this done.
Kat, hi, this is Kim Guild. I just wanted to ask you, how do we get a hold of Be Epic? What's the best way to reach out to you? And
yeah, so you signed up for this webinar, so we should have your email now. I'm assuming you signed up through our landing page. So we will email you guys all this offer, and you know, you're welcome to jump on a call with us and go deeper on the conversation of what we're providing and how this whole thing will work out. But yeah, I would say schedule a call with Heather and I, and we'll walk you through it.
I'll reach out, Kim.
okay, sounds good, Heather.
Connect. Yeah,
Perfect.
connected. And
right.
I will tell you guys, I guarantee, because I am an agent that is I'm selling houses and working with buyers and sellers actively every day. The marketing works, and what Mike teaches works. And if you work that system and work our system, I guarantee you'll get results. It's like it's not even one commission. It's actually such a small price. It's like a fraction of one commission if you got one referral off of the activities that you're doing. And I guarantee that you will. Like, I'll put my money to it.
Can I want to just throw in a little pitch for Heather and her team. So I met Heather a really long time ago, and we refer business back and forth I'm in Minnesota. And I will tell you, I get her newsletters, and it's agent to agent. And I'm like, I have all these agents. Why haven't I done this? And Heather, I will tell you, you inspired me. And this year was the first year that I did agent to agent newsletters. And I will tell you, people like have responded. I haven't gotten anything yet, but people have like, yep, if I have anybody, I love it. Yes, we'll be in touch. And it's such an easy thing. So thank you for that. And I'm like,
I get your newsletters.
What's that?
And I said, I get your newsletters, and you will get business from it. It's just like that slow, like that recognition of people knowing you, and then you go to events and then they know you again because they're seeing your face every single month. So you do a great job with them. So thank you.
All right, we ran a little over. I apologize. Heather's got to go. So we're going to wrap this up. And just the idea here too is like, you can have all the dreams in your world, and people plan and plan and plan. But the key to it all is, are you going to execute and direct and channel that execution to really create the life that you want? Because it is possible. You can have both and we'll see you next time.
Thanks.
All right,
Thanks, everybody.
Mike.
We'll be back next month. So y'all have a good month. Bye.